Hi, my name's Mandy Sampson, and this week is week 4 on our video discussions this week. I will be talking some points of 2 big ideas that I found important. So let's just dive right into it. The first big idea that I found important was that students with ASD often require individualized support to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. Teachers who understand ASD can identify specific interventions and accommodations that can facilitate their learning and well-being. This might include visual supports, social stories, sensory breaks, or modified assignments. Such personalized approaches can maximize students' potential and enable them to reach their educational goals. So for me personally, I have some personal experiences with this, being a paraprofessional for 15 years. And I worked in various classrooms and special ed classrooms, 1211 classroom at the elementary setting. I worked in pre-K for 4 years where, as one of those teachers, we're one of the first to identify some students in our classroom having autistic characteristics. I saw in a 1211 classroom, in a kindergarten classroom, where storyboards were used to assist a student in completing tasks. They were very useful, and the student was very successful with that. Other times we used headphones to give students a sensory break. Modifications were used sometimes with assignments, maybe shortening the assignment and till the student reaches that goal, and then we increase the amount of the assignment after that, depending on if he's successful or she's successful in the behavior modifications along with the storyboards. Sometimes it's necessary to challenge students, so modification wasn't used as much in some situations. It's just depending on the student. So for family, I have some family that actually is, so I have a nephew. I have a nephew that was born, when the time he was born, there was concerns. So I saw signs of autism. He was obsessed with eating only pepperoni and would get upset a lot when he couldn't verbalize his needs and did not speak until the age of 5. I love my nephew, but he is very quirky, and he's just a wonderful human being. He's obsessed with cars, loves to work on them with his older brother, and goes to car shows. Anything car related, he's there. He's older now, so having those right supports in place when he was younger, and a family that's also been very supportive, it just gives him all the love and attention that he needs, and supports his interest in cars. I even bought him a car toy once that you could take apart and put it back together. He absolutely loved that thing. Said he played with it every day, taking it apart, figuring out what it makes it work, and then putting it back together. I also have just mentioned in our class discussions online and our blog that I also have a younger brother who has autism spectrum disorder, formerly known as Asperger's syndrome. Thanks to our class discussions, I now understand why it is no longer referred to as that. He's an adult of 29 years of age now, and he loves to play at the local comic book store with friends playing magic cards. He works full-time in a factory repairing computers. He has told me he is not very fast at it, but he does manage to fix them. He does have a hard time speaking, and it takes him a little time to complete a sentence. Talking on the phone is harder for him. In person, he seems better. He suffered from depression growing up, and I think it was because of his speech and the lack of social life with friends. I knew that was particularly hard on my stepmom to see him going through that a lot. Now as an adult, he does just fine, and I'm very proud of him. So the takeaway from this week's videos was ASD people are visual hands-on learners. I found that out through the videos, and through my experience, I do find that very helpful, that they are hands-on learners and you have to teach to them in a different way. Technology has also helped them to be able to communicate, and in Carly's case, it changed her life. What a wonderful story that was to see her able to express herself. I've seen how pictures help those students in classrooms keep up with the class and the ability to know what's going on and when. Technology has helped make big strides in helping the ASD community to be able to communicate. Just this week on the news, there was a story of a little boy with autism who was shown the new robot technology that is offered in a public library to help children in the autism community. It's free and welcome to the public. It warmed my heart to see how it was helping him communicate. Let's take a look at this heartwarming story.
In California, the Santa Ana Library is turning to technology to communicate with children on the spectrum. It's also led to an unlikely friendship with a robot, opening up a whole new world for one 4-year-old. Here's Elise Preston.
Hi, Lukey.
A surprise first meeting for Luke Sepulveda and his new futuristic friend.
In different spaces, you don't know how he's going to react. So I was just hoping for the best.
Ella Sepulveda's 4-year-old son is on the autism spectrum. She wants to make sure he can communicate with the world around him.
He was locked into that robot.
Yeah. That's
You're
sweet.
smiling.
I know, that's sweet.
From the inside out.
Just knowing that a robot can engage his attention, that makes me happy.
Here at the Santa Ana Public Library, robots are specially programmed to teach children with autism. 1 in 36 children in the U.S. is on this spectrum. This is one of the first libraries in the country to provide this pricey program free. It mainly supports children of color who are often underserved and diagnosed when they're older.
That is the square. Touch the square.
Larry Singer is the human helper behind the robots.
Human beings have emotions. Human beings get tired. Human beings get frustrated. A robot, same response every single time.
The tone is always the same.
They're not critical. They're always comforting.
I am proud of you.
Oh, she's proud
You
of
found
you. My hope and dream for him is really just do your best. You're awesome and you're loved.
Elise Preston, CBS News, Santa Ana, California.
So to wrap things up for my video, for this week's readings and watching the videos, I feel it is so important to understand students with disabilities and how to provide individualized instruction, effective communication, differentiated instruction, emotional support, collaboration and advocacy, and to promote inclusion education. I will take with me the tips in the book and the educational knowledge about disabilities to be an effective teacher. I'm Mandy Sampson. Thank you for listening and have a great week.